Okay, this is the first set of videos related to the tutorials of the course Digital Economy and Data Analytics. My name is Eik van Vuren and today I'm going to talk about the Python programming language. The Python programming language is the language that we're going to use during the tutorials of this course Digital Economy and Data Analytics, and I do of course know that you did already have programming before. More particular, I do know that you already had programming in the programming language R before, because of the fact that you already had a course, an introductory course to the programming language R, and most likely you have already been many times programming in that particular language. However, that is not the language that we're going to use during the tutorials, and the reason behind that is because of the fact that Python is really the programming language that is often used during, machine learning, or people that do machine learning usually use Python rather than R. And that's the reason why we are going to use here Python in this particular lecture series as well, because of the fact that this lecture series is about machine learning. However, I do still realize that, of course, you did already have a lot of programming before, but in another language, R, and that implies that this tutorial is especially or has especially the intention to learn you programming in Python from the eyes, of course, of an R programmer. Well, let me first of all give a short introduction to the language Python, and here there is a very nice thing to say, because of the fact that Python was actually developed at an institute called CWI. Now, it might of course be possible that you have never heard about CWI before, but we should realize that CWI is actually an abbreviation of it's a Dutch abbreviation, because of the fact that in Dutch it is called Centrum voor Wiskunde en Informatica. It actually also has an English name, and in English it's called National Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science. Why is this important? Well, this is important because of the fact that this CWI is actually related to a university, not to the University of Groningen, but to the University of Amsterdam. And this is especially important because of the fact that Python was actually developed by an employee of the CWI, and that is Guido van Rossum. It was actually not the first programming language developed by CWI, because of the fact that also another programming language called ABC before Guido van Rossum was already developed by other individuals. However, ABC is never used anymore. However, Python is used nowadays instead. Question of course arises, how old is Python? Well, Python dates back from 1991, and the first version was actually released in 1991 as Python 090. I have no idea why it's actually called 090 and not 001, probably because of the fact that there were some test versions before, but this is the official first version that could have been used also by outsiders. We should realize that Guido van Rossum has been a very long time the only developer with respect to Python, even though I do know that these days there are also other developers with respect to Python. The present version that we have, so version 090, is obviously not used anymore, but the present version that we use, is usually called Python 3. However, there are special versions within Python 3, and at the date of this, actually recording this video, the present version was 3.13.2, but probably if you are going to see this video, there might already be a newer version. Question arises then, how popular is Python? Well, I already said that it's actually quite popular among people that use machine learning, but actually even outside of machine learning it's very popular, and we should realize that nowadays it is seen, or actually since 2018 it is seen as the most popular programming language. That is to say that nowadays more developers actually program in Python than in any other language. And that is of course important, and of course also very nice for us as Dutch people, or actually people within the universities, because of the fact that nowadays most popular programming language doesn't come from any kind of company, but it comes from a Dutch university. Of course not our own university, but still a Dutch university. Now you should realize that this popularity especially comes from something that I already said, and that is that it is very popular in the machine learning community. That is to say that it is possible to do machine learning even with other languages like C and C++, as well as in R, but you should realize that the libraries in Python with respect to machine learning, they are better developed. And that's the reason why we will see that, well, in most companies that do data science, well, they actually work in Python. And again, that is the main reason why we are going to work in Python as well, because if you ever are going to work in the future in a company that uses data science, then most likely it is going to be the case that that company is going to use Python instead of R. Then a very interesting question that also arises is, well, where is the name Python derived from? Well, obviously Python is of course a snake in English, but we should take into account that it's actually not derived from the snake's name. It's actually derived from a TV series that was broadcasted by the BBC in the mid-80s, so a very long period of time ago, and its name was called Monty Python's Flying Circus. So that is the reason why Python is actually called Python. As I already said, it's a TV series, but it's also a very old TV series, so I might not be completely surprised if you have never heard about Monty Python's Flying Circus before, but maybe you have heard about one of the main actors in Monty Python's Flying Circus, because of the fact that he has been doing many other, say, TV series, as well as he has also been starring in movies, and that was John Cleese. Well, then the final thing that I would like to say in this introduction is that the language is especially focused on easiness and readability, especially the readability that we will see many times later on as well.